We're now showing our Class 1 Mini Hereford steer. Class 2 Angus steer should be at the arena. Class 3 Chiania steer should be at the arena as well.
Where you're supposed to go, I guess go.
What better way than to come back off for lunch and everybody eat a bunch of food, get ready to be put asleep by me talking all day, and we get to start off with the Mini Herefords that start out here. And guys, the impact of this breed is definitely really good. It's grown exponentially as of late. I think it's an awesome breed for younger exhibitors to get started in as well. The popularity's there, and you can get some good miniature Herefords out here. This steer is no exception to that. Really good in his design, goes to the surface with some structure, and when you take him up, plenty of shape up high and going away. Nice job by the young lady on a nice Mini Hereford steer. Give her a good round of applause as she wraps up this division.
The exhibitor of our champion Mini Hereford steer was Allison Baston. Our sponsor for that award was Kyle and Dakota Everts. Now showing our Angus steers, Class 2 Angus steers, Class 3 Angus, Class 3 Chiania steers should be at the arena. Our judge for today's show is Jake Rupert. He comes from Columbia City, Indiana. He judged and attended Blackhawk East and Purdue University. He is currently a sales rep for ADM Animal Nutrition and Mormon Show Tech. So let's make Jake feel welcome.
As we jump up exponentially in weight from the Mini Hereford up to these bigger fat steers, and we certainly have a pair to work with here that basically check off the boxes for being fat steers. They have some body shape and some feedability. They get in and handle them. They offer plenty of finish for me at this stage. I think the real difference between the pair, because I think they both have some limitations from a build standpoint, I think the biggest difference between the pair is just purely size, stature, and balance. And with that in mind, the young man on my far left will have your champion Angus steer. Congratulations. No doubt when this guy leaves you, he's about as skinny as me going away. Not a lot there, but at the same time, from the side, he offers some body, some rib shape, he balances, that's why he wins. Young man that comes in second offers a steer that has more going away. He comes in a more moderate package and certainly bold and broad up high. Get him off to the side. He just doesn't quite balance up as well, and I think that's what makes him fall into second. Good group of steers. Give these exhibitors a nice hand on a good group of Angus.
Your champion Angus steer exhibited by Daniel Williams. Your reserve champion Angus steer exhibited by Brock Haven. Both of those steers were raised in Putnam County, so they will place the same in that show. Our sponsors for those awards, the Angus steer, the champion was sponsored by Ron Spencer Sr., and the Putnam County champion was sponsored by Jim and Maxine Williams.
A bit of differences, but when you get in here and you evaluate the steer that's remained standing along the outside, he easily just combines the most amount of good in regards to elevation, balance, and presence, and yet now we're in market animals, so he takes to the ground on some foot and substance, plenty dimensional up high and going away. I think this guy is plenty good in terms of finish relative to his peer group. Certainly could have a hair more, but I think he's plenty good there. Nice steer to win this particular class. Second's the young man's red steer, and this guy's gnarly in terms of turn and shape out of his shoulder. When you get your hands on him, that's a big, big roll and ditch down his back. Offers all sorts of shape out through his hip. The problem is, for me, more importantly, other than his design issues up front and how he wants to, I just need to see this guy further along in terms of finish. I need to see him soft right over his rib. I need to see him more advanced in his degree of fat cover all the way through for me to move him up any higher. The young man that sits in third is more appropriate from a condition standpoint, and I appreciate that. This guy's further along in terms of finish. The problem is when you really study this calf, especially when you're right in on him here in the ring, he wants to fall out of bed just in terms of stoutness, muscle, and power. That's why he sits in the third hole. Give all these exhibitors a nice round of applause on a good set of steers.
Your champion Kenya steer was exhibited by Jonathan Pointer. Your reserve champion Kenya steer was exhibited by Frederick Mann, which was also your champion Putnam County bred Kenya steer. And your reserve champion Putnam County Kenya steer was exhibited by Jackson Heyman. We're now ready for that Class 4 Hereford steers. Class 5 should be at the arena Class 6 limousine steers, be making your way. Award donors in that Kiania division, champion Kiania steer was sponsored by Clearview Farms, and the Putnam County champion Kiania steer was sponsored by West Central Vet Clinic.
Maybe a little tougher to evaluate it when you got a couple of steers that are just being ornery for the showman, but ultimately I think where this pair splits, if you consider from the outside that both of them are good enough in terms of build and comfort, in terms of travel, I think then your next thing is, just studying market steer fundamentals. And when you take these steers up high and analyze the amount of shape and muscle they deposit over the top side of their framework, the young man to my right wins this class pretty handily. Congratulations. No question, the young man to my left might offer a nickel more in terms of just mid-rib turn, and when you get right on top of him, you can see it. The problem is when this steer goes away, he's a little bigger in his frame size and doesn't match it with enough muscle, and he plays out the most of the pair of steers in terms of shape out of his shoulder and going away. Give all these exhibitors a nice round of applause on a good set of steers.
We're now ready for Class 5 Hereford steers. Class 5. Class 6 limousine steers should be at the arena. Class 7 should be making their way to the arena. We've had a cell phone that was misplaced in the women's restroom, and it was turned in here to the announcer stand. So if you're missing a cell phone and can identify the background picture, it is up here at the announcer stand in the inside arena.
extremely competitive pair of Hereford steers you have sitting on the outside here, and I think the pair offers some differences and some advantages that you'll all too often find in this particular breed, especially in a steer setting. I think the young man steer down on the far end, from the outside, is the steer that clearly offers a bit more slope and angulation up through his shoulder. I think that makes him more comfortable in how his knee gets out and travels. From that point back, I think he's more uniform in his body depth and his proportional lines. Take him out through his hip and rear leg's incredible in the way he can reach and grab, and I love his big foot. My issue with this guy is when you study him right there at the base of his forearm, and it translates up high, he wants to get flatter out of his shoulder, doesn't exactly read his three-dimensional up high out of his shoulder and how he fills in with his top all the way down through his hip. Up high is where I pick on this guy, and right through his forearm, that's where I see him. The young man off to my far left, an extremely tall-shouldered one that sacrifices some slope and angle up front as a result. But what's funny is at the same time, he feeds out of his shoulder broader and offers more span and shape out of the backside of his shoulder up high than the young man steer off to my far right. Take him to the outside though, not quite as bold and robust as cavity. And then as you study him through his hip, he's a little shorter and a little straighter off of his rear pastern as he gets out and drives. That's your differences between the pair. I wanted to make sure I highlighted them as such. But for me, I'm comfortable using the totals and the young man steer to my right to be your champion and your class winner. The young man to my left will be second. Congratulations on a really nice pair of Hereford steers, especially for a county fair class. The young man that sits here in third, practical kind of fat steer that sits in front of me, certainly can get the job done at the rail. Would I like to see him a little further along in terms of just boldness of body, shape, finish? No question, but I think he's a nice steer to be sitting there in third for the young man. Congratulations to him. Give all these exhibitors a nice round of applause on this Hereford steer class.
We're now ready for the Hereford Champion Drive. We need those Class 6 limousine steers at the arena. Class 7 should be headed this way. Be getting ready your Class 8 main steers.
We pull in our two class winners out of their respective classes in this division, and I'm extremely pleased with what we have sitting out here for Hereford Fat Steers. At the same time, the big steer is just so much more advanced in terms of stoutness, mass, and finish, and still looks like a nice, attractive show steer. Congratulations to the young man for having your champion Hereford.
Champion Hereford steer is exhibited by Jaden Simpson. That award was sponsored by Cox Trucking Services. We are now exhibiting for Reserve Champion and Champion Putnam County.
I talked about the caliber of quality, especially at a county fair setting, of that pair of Hereford steers out of that heavier class, and you bring that second place guy out here and he drops in and looks the part without a doubt. He's going to be your logical reserve champion for me. Congratulations to him.
We need Jacob Pearl's steer out of that class, out of Class 5.
We go ahead and wrap up your reserve Putnam bred, and certainly a nice pair of steers to represent the county that sit out here. I think between the pair, rather than making it overly complicated, I'm going to go with the steer that's closer to an ideal endpoint in terms of weight and finish, the young man out of the bigger class. So go ahead and be your reserve Putnam bred. Congratulations to him.
Your reserve champion, Hereford and champion Putnam County Hereford steer was exhibited by Tyler Thompson. That champion Putnam County award was sponsored by the Gene Beck family. And your reserve champion Putnam County, born and raised, was exhibited by Jacob Pearl. We're now ready for that Class 6 limousine steers. Joining us today to help pass out our banners is the Queen and her court. We'll introduce those. The Queen this year, 2018, was Reagan Bowling. She's not here. Getting pictures. Wow. Who do we have here? We've got first runner-up Mackenzie Taylor. And we've got third runner-up Jessica Hayes. And Miss Congeniality, Skylar Clifford. So appreciate their help today.
Nice pair of Lemmy steers we have to start off this division, and for me it's still a pretty logical handle to go ahead and take hold of the young man off to my far left to be your class winner. Congratulations to him. Simply put, he's the biggest bodied, most robust steer that offers the most amount of muscle, and at the same time is the most composed and collected from the side in terms of balance and look. Nice job to that young man. The young lady that rounds out this particular class certainly has a steer that once you get your hands on him, you'd be surprised. There's actually some shape that works out of his shoulder, but at the same time, take him off from the side. He wants to come in pieces, and he still needs to be bolder and more powerful relative to the steer next to him. Give all these exhibitors a nice round of applause on a good first class of Lemmy steers.
Now ready for that Class 7 limousine steers. Class 8 main steers, be making your way to the arena. Class 8 main steers, please be making your way to the arena.
sometimes you'll run into classes such as this one where maybe there's not one that just jumps off the page in terms of a balanced show steer that's ultra attractive. And when you get past that between this pair, I think it becomes pretty easy just to pick the higher quality fat steer that's still fundamentally correct in his build and is going to go to the rail with a decisive advantage. And that's the young man steer off to my far left that he's pulling out and resetting. Congratulations to him for having your class winner. Easily just the boldest and most powerful in terms of body shape, finish, and muscle. That makes the most sense then to use him because he's also as collected as any in this class in terms of mobility. The young lady steer that sits off to my right certainly offers some value in the fact that I think he might be a nickel more attractive headed, but when you study him off to the side, he wants to fall apart just a little bit in his top line. Maybe not the most comfortable off his rear leg, but the most important thing is he just falls short in terms of body shape, mass, and muscle. Give all these exhibitors a nice round of applause on a good set of Lemmy steers. Looking forward to the champion drive. A relatively close decision in my mind when you come out here for champion Lemmy steer, and that's just largely because you've got quite the discrepancy in terms of weight right now. I mean, you've got a steer that looks like a fat steer, weighs like a fat steer, and is ready to go, and then you've got the young man steer off to my far left, who is the taller shouldered, more attractive show steer, but obviously in terms of weight and finish, has some days to go on feed. So that's what you have to decide and what you're the most comfortable with. I guess when I study each one of them for what they represent within the breed, knowing that maybe both of these steers could have a shot more attractive look, maybe a bit more pipe underneath them, and look a little bit more tricked out like a real show steer, then I think you just stick with the one that's the best fat steer. And with that said, young man's heavy steer will win this particular breed. Congratulations. We pull in the young lady's second place out of that heavier class, and I think it becomes more logical to go ahead and follow with the pattern and look of the young man steer that won the lighter class. Went ahead and took a moment to be quiet, went and caught him, but we'll go ahead and use the young man steer out of the lighter class to be reserve Lemmy steer. Congratulations to him and the exhibitors.
Your champion limousine steer was exhibited by Wes Lesko. That award was sponsored by the Jason Clark family. He is also your Putnam County champion limousine steer. That award was sponsored by Justin and Lauren Koger. Reserve champion limousine steer was Logan Tumal. Reserve Putnam County limousine steer was exhibited by Cameron Gibson. We're now exhibiting the Class 8 main steers. This is the only class in that division. You should have Class 9 red pole steers at the arena. Class 10 Shorthorn Plus steers be making your way.
Only class of main steers within this division, and certainly 3 extremely different types of steers that we have sitting out here. And I like to go ahead and lead off with the young lady steer on the outside, and by no means is he perfect, guys, but the front 2/3 of this one's skeleton's extremely fun to look at in a market steer setting. His body and the way it balances in, I love the way his shoulder sets in his skeleton, and when it goes to the ground, that's an extremely big paw that hits the surface with a really big ankle. Love the way he ties in up front. My issue, if there is any, is everybody has their degree of set they'd like to their rear leg. That dude has plenty for myself, and when he gets out and motors and fights the lead, it doesn't always look ideal. What I will give him credit for is as square and as wide as he leaves me, still stays fundamentally true. And whereas Hawk wants to sit, he's obviously got plenty of hip leaving me, and his degree of finish is as good as anything out here. He wins this class. Congratulations to her. Second, the young man that sits over here, and I'm not going to say that this is Jake Rupert's kind in regards to his hip and where it sets in his skeleton. I prefer him to be a little leveler, but get past his rounder hip set. This guy goes to the ground truer on his front feet, and he's more appropriate in the set to his Hawk and rear pastern. Get past that, he's also the next best in terms of finish, and offers more spread out of his shoulder than the young man that sits in third. That's why he falls in 2. The young man that sits in 3 does an extremely good job of presenting this steer. Clearly, hair has been worked on this guy, and he's done a fantastic job of presenting the steer he has to him. The problem is not only is he the lighter weight steer in class, but he's the furthest from his finish. He gets a little more rigid and straighter off both ends of his skeleton and wants to toe out up front. That's why he sits where he does. Congratulations, though, on a good set of main steers. Give the exhibitors a hand.
Your champion main steer was exhibited by Alex Steffi. That award was sponsored by Steve Greason, the Steve Greason family. That calf was not Putnam County, so your reserve champion main and champion Putnam County, born and raised, was exhibited by Colby Harcourt, and your reserve champion Putnam County main was exhibited by Colton Clifford. The award for Putnam County champion main steer was sponsored by Keith and Mona Smith.
Get into our only red pole entry, and certainly represents the breed well. And obviously we've gotten some weight and some body shape put on this guy, you know, in regards to going forward. Obviously a little bit more continuation on the feed bucket for finish, and a little more muscularity will help this guy going forward. But right now the parts and pieces are there, and young lady, you showed up the only one, so you get the banner. Congratulations to her, and give her a nice hand.
Champion red pole steer exhibited by Ashley Miller. That award sponsored by Rick and Rhonda Woodall. They're now ready to show our Shorthorn Plus division. We have a single entry here.
Those that know me well, and they'll say that I can give up some ESTs if you put it together in a really just good balanced package that balances and ties together extremely well. And I think the young man Shorthorn Plus steer that comes out here does that very, very well. He is by no means the biggest ended steer we've had out here today or the broadest back, but I will tell you, set this one in motion and get your hands on him, and he's an extremely good quality fat steer that still has a show steer look about him. I'm okay with that kind. Congratulations to the young man on this champion.
Champion Shorthorn Plus steer and champion Putnam County Shorthorn Plus steer exhibited by Parker Hacker. Those awards sponsors were for the Shorthorn Plus champion S&W Feed Center, for the Putnam County Shorthorn Plus champion. That was sponsored by Hodgen Farms. If you're planning on selling a steer in the auction this week and have not signed up for that yet, you can do so up here at the arena. You'll need a 4-H'er and a parent. So if you haven't done that yet and would like to, you can come up anytime during the show and get that paperwork filled out.
Obviously, when you get into these classes, I mean, some of these kids, and I'll make some criticism on the steer, but at the end of the day, you fed what was in front of you and you presented what you had. So that is what it is. I get within this set. I'm not going to say I'm in love with either one of these two steers. I'll describe them briefly and I'll let you know where they fall. The young man steer off to my far right, I think in terms of condition and cover, and especially right out over his rib, and steady him out of his shoulder. That steer is by far the better finished steer that meets my hand more comfortably and consistently with any type of condition out over his rib. No doubt when you set him in motion, he wants to push and throw up front a bit more. He has more up through his chest as a result of carrying more finish, and he's not exactly a world beater in terms of bone and feature at the ground, but he does offer a fat steer look that certainly is sound enough in terms of build. The young man steer off to my far left, an extremely intriguing one that from the outside gives you the impression that he's certainly a plenty well-finished steer in this class. You would think when you put your hands on him, this guy's as chubby as anything in here. You would be surprised when you get in there. He plays out and gets flatter through his shoulder. He's not all that fat right over his rib. And then watching him go away, I really get concerned with him wanting to roll on his outside of his left rear foot. At the stand, he's not the most comfortable creature either, so you have some things to debate about. And I just picked apart the two steers, and now which one am I going to run with? But at the same time, I think the steer that when you set them in motion and initially at the stand when they're where they're at, the steer that looks most like a show steer, I think both of them are acceptable weights. I think both of them have still enough finish. The young man on my left is still going to be your class winner. Congratulations to him. Young man on my right will be second. But I definitely wanted to make sure we highlighted where we're sitting within these steers. Congratulations on those guys. Should be fun as we go ahead and continue through the show.
Exhibiting your champion Simmental steer was Ethan Harcourt. That steer was also Putnam County born and raised, so he will also be your Putnam County born and raised champion Simmental steer. Exhibiting your reserve Simmental steer was Tyler Thompson. The donors for those awards for the champion Simmental steer was Pointer Family Farms. And the Pointer family also sponsored the Putnam County Simmental steer. As we get into this final division of crossbred steers, as soon as we complete this steer show, we'd like to have all of the kids who had any type of reserve or champion, whether it be in the regular show or the Putnam County show, come to the arena for some instructions on how we're going to run tonight's show. Tonight's grand drive will start at 7 o'clock with heifers first and then steers. But we would like all those kids that had any type of a champion or a reserve meet up here right after the champion crossbred steer is selected, and we'll have some instructions for you on how we will handle tonight's ceremony.
Being aware of where we're at in the weight spectrum on these steers in the crossbred division, obviously we're in the lightest class, so we've got some time on feet no matter what on either one of these two steers. And, you know, for me, the steer that still presents the most amount of good, especially when you consider body shape and just muscularity and bulk, the young man to my far left will be your class winner. Congratulations to him. Take nothing away from the young man's functional design steer that covers the ring on the other side. Certainly one that can cover some ground. The problem is when you put him in a show steer setting, it just gets a bit rangy in terms of body shape and muscularity. Need to make him stouter all the way through. Give all these exhibitors a nice round of applause on a nice set of steers.
Now ready for those Class 13 crossbred steers. Class 14 crossbred steers should be heading to the arena. Class 13, your class is heading into the ring. Class 14, you should be heading to the arena now.
In our 2nd of 3 classes at Crossbred Steers, a nice steer to land on in this particular group. Tall-shouldered and athletic in his build, and I like his foot size and form. Study him up high, and he's got some shape and turn and muscularity all the way through. Obviously, we need to go ahead and progress this guy in terms of body shape and condition as he goes on up through the weights. But at this particular weight range, I like this guy to win pretty easily. Congratulations to that young man. Second, I like this young man's steer's body shape for this weight and where he's at. I think he's a practical steer in all regards in terms of function and ability to feed and flesh relative to the steer ahead of him. Just not as tricked out and as bold up high, not quite as muscular leaving you. The young man that rounds out this class certainly has a steer that can cover some ground and is comfortable from a build standpoint. We just need to stout him up and make him more of a market steer all the way through to move him up any higher. Congratulations to the exhibitors on a nice set of steers. Give them a hand.
Now ready for those class 14 crossbred steers. Have those class winners and second places out of class 12 and 13 ready outside the arena.
as we wrap up this last class, and really the last class of our cattle show today until the grand drive tonight. It's certainly been fun, and before I go into describing these guys, we all have commitments, we all have busy lives and schedules, so if you're not able to come to the grand drive tonight, I sincerely want to thank you for the opportunity to come out here and evaluate your cattle and young people. It's been stellar from the showmanship groups all the way through here. The hospitality and professionalism has been first class all the way through, and I appreciate that greatly because I understand in a county fair setting, you will have differences in terms of opinion and seriousness level, and folks getting a little out of hand sometimes, and I appreciate everybody being as cordial as they've been. And we get in this particular class, I think it's been, a really fun set. I'm comfortable landing on the young man steer right in front of me to go ahead and win this class. I certainly want to tweak him in terms of slope to his shoulder, and that goes ahead and shows itself when he pulls him out in the lead. He wants to labor and kind of trudge a little bit up front. Get past that though, and that's a real fun show steer that offers an abundance of muscle up high, still square and extremely true, leaving you with a big hind leg. That's a nice steer for the young man to win this class. Second and third, so honestly where I spent the most amount of time deliberating from the outside, and that's largely because the young man's bigger frame, just more extreme frame size steer that sits there in second is borderline good enough in terms of finish. And I'm not going to say I love all my steers to be this big, but I just couldn't get away from the fact that he's by far the next best assembled, if not the best assembled steer, especially up front in this particular class. And I certainly had to give him credit for that. Nice steer by the young man. Third, I like this steer's ability to finish. I like his appropriate body shape. The problem is when you throw this much calf on this type of frame size and pattern, you get them to fall out of balance. They get to be a little bit lower shouldered, a little deeper chested, just not quite as attractive from the side. But definitely he's done everything you could ask a fat steer to do. Give these exhibitors a nice hand on a good set of steers. All the exhibitors on a good show. Look forward to the grand drive tonight.
Now showing for champion crossbred steer,
We get out here for your champion crossbred steer and tying the bow on this for the afternoon. And I certainly like all three representatives. I think they all represent good-looking shows that still have muscularity. And when we get beyond that, I think there's just a steer that's a man when you study him up high, and he's still so true going away. The young man out of the heavyweight class will be your champion crossbred. Congratulations. Drop that second place year in, year out of that class, and I actually think it gets interesting for reserve only because I think it's between the two lighter colored steers closest to me. No doubt those are the two steers that are tall shouldered and still represent the kind of silhouette and look that we had in our winter, and at the same time they go to the ground on a pretty comfortable skeleton and foot. Where the differences lie between the pair, in my opinion, is when you study them out of their shoulder and what shape they offer, and then at what stage they're at in terms of body shape and finish. Actually, the steer that's a little more progressed, and to no surprise, also in his weight as well, is the young man closest to me. He'll have your reserve champion crossbred steer. Congratulations.
From class 13, we're going to need Ryan Sutherland's calf. Drew Boya, you'll stay in. And we need Garrett Haven's calf out of class 14 for our Putnam County division. The champion crossbred steer was Colby Sinclair. That calf was not Putnam County. Reserve champion was Jonathan Pointer. That calf was not Putnam County. So now we are judging for Putnam County bred crossbred steer. Your champion crossbred steer banner was sponsored by Eric and Shirley Heyman.
As we go ahead and take care of the Putnam bred section, definitely like what we have for trio steers out here. I think your best fat steer, fundamentally, in terms of just stoutness, muscle, and finish. Young man closest to me with his heavier steer will go ahead and be your winner. Congratulations.
Drew and Ryan, we need to pick a reserve Putnam County bred between those two steers.
One more time for good measure, I'll get on the mic and we'll go ahead and go through this. Love this pair of steers, honestly. Again, compliments to the county folks for putting these together. I think this next best steer in terms of especially assembly up front and then still being progressed in terms of finish and weight. Young man in front of me will be your reserve. Congratulations.
Exhibiting your Putnam County champion crossbred steer was Garrett Haven. That award was sponsored by Jared and Shelby Fordyce, so we appreciate their support. And then reserve champion crossbred steer was Ryan Sutherland. We will reconvene at 7 o'clock for our grand drive. Hope everybody can join us. And again, any of you exhibitors that had a reserve or champion of any kind, whether it be Putnam County or not, please come here in the inside arena for some instructions for the way we will run tonight's drive.